Hey everybody, how we doing today? Welcome back to the Nintendo Prime Podcast, episode 18. Hopefully everything is sounding lovely. I have absolutely no idea if it is for you. We did testing on our end, but we don't know about your end.
Right.
So you'll have to let me know about all of that. I am your host with the most, Nathaniel Rumpeljans. To my left and your right, as always, is Mr. Eric Moore.
Hello, everybody.
So the reason why I said I don't know what we sound like is we have brand new mics today. You can see the fat boy, especially over on Eric.
Oh, yeah.
These things are studio grade quality. So we'll see how it goes. I don't know if it actually sounds good. My Stream Deck doesn't work right now with certain things, but you guys can hear us, and that's really all that matters. Now, we have a number of topics for today. 3 in particular. One, you guys know the Switch might be getting a price drop next week, like before our next podcast, like within a few days. Yeah, we're going to be talking about that. Sony, by the way, had a showcase today, a 40-minute presentation. We'll talk about that as well, and maybe some of my Twitter drama surrounding it. That was a little fun. I know, what? Drama?
You in drama?
Never.
Nah.
And then we're actually going to talk a bit about the Switch OLED later, and maybe the hype or lack thereof, as we are under 4 weeks away, and Nintendo has yet to remind anyone that things even coming.
Nice.
So, let's first dive into, I guess, maybe the lead topic, I suppose, and that is that the Nintendo Switch might be getting a price drop. Now, when I talked about this earlier this year when Switch OLED was announced, I mentioned that I had a feeling by next year holiday, so holiday 2022, 1, the current base Switch would be discontinued, and 2, the Switch OLED would become the new base Switch, and they would drop the price to $299. Then back during July, there was a little price snafu at Walmart with Switch OLED pre-orders, where people were being given $50 credits or $50 refunds back on all of their Switch OLED pre-orders, making the Switch OLED only cost $300. And I've confirmed through multiple people, to this day, they still have only been charged $300 for their pre-order of Switch OLED. Now, explanations at the time were obviously this is a mistake. They're screwed up. It's a new product. Someone at Walmart okayed this, but they okayed it based on the price of what the other Switch costs, not realizing it's a new product. So we kind of figured it was a mistake, but it hasn't been rectified since, which makes me feel like maybe it wasn't a mistake. Or maybe, possibly, Walmart at the time was all, well, it is a mistake, but it's our bad. We got to let it go for the ones that we've already...
Are they actually doing the right thing?
Yeah, I don't know. Walmart's customer support has not really said much on it when I've reached out to them, other than it is what it is. So, okay, fine. That doesn't really mean they're going to lower the price of Switch, but it was kind of sort of an interesting notion that, you know, it felt like a mistake, but maybe it's not because that is a price point that Nintendo was considering. Don't know. But what we do know is that a very reliable source that is connected to French retail outlets. That's right, all the way out in France. According to these French retailers, they are going to be lowering the price of the Switch by 30 euros as of Monday next week. The base $300 Switch will have the price lower. Now, this is according to Nintendo Alerts. For those who don't know who Nintendo Alerts is, he is a French, kind of like a Wario64, if you guys know who he is out on Twitter, who gives updates and alerts on things, except Nintendo Alerts does it for France. But Nintendo Alerts has actually got real-world connections to retailers in France and has proven it time and time again by knowing exactly when switches were going to drop. Kind of like Jake Randall knows when PlayStation 5s are going to drop. That's because he has connections at the retail outlets, and so does Nintendo Alerts. And his sources have said, starting next Monday, not some special holiday sale or anything crazy, the permanent price drop is coming to the base model Nintendo Switch. And it's enough of a price drop to think it's not just a localized thing. Because if you think, okay, if it's just going to be a market price drop, $10. Mm-hmm. You know, just something minor, right? Like Walmart lowering the price. Like Walmart's, you know, all brand new games at Walmart, if you go in person, are $10 cheaper, something like that. Then you start to think, okay, but a 30 euro drop equals out to roughly $50 USD. That is not a small amount of change to lower the price of Switch. So if that's happening in France, and again, this person is connected with French retailers, not necessarily retailers in other countries in Europe, it does suggest that next week we could very well be getting a price drop on Switch by $50, making it $249.99. So first off, Eric, what are your thoughts?
Guessing you're getting there, but doesn't that say a 60-euro drop, not a 30?
Oh, maybe it's a 60 euro.
Yeah,
I don't know.
okay.
Either way.
Yeah.
Either way.
I looked over.
Either way.
Wait a minute.
I don't know.
No.
The story
But,
maybe has changed since the original.
No, that's... Yeah.
But either way, it's going to
yeah.
be about $50. It's going to be costing $249.99 is basically the consensus.
Nice.
So my question to you is, what are your initial thoughts on a price drop and doing it now?
Nintendo's trying to get rid of their original stock to come out with the OLED. I mean, that's got to be what it is.
I said, when Switch OLED was announced, this platform right here, I said, when that system was announced, it's the replacement for the current base model Switch. It is not the Pro. It is not, well, I kind of confused that at the beginning, but it's not the Pro. It is a replacement. It is the Switch XL that's going to replace the current Switch at the same price point, eventually. Not at launch. Now, you might be going, well, if they're lowering the price of this to $249.99 next week, why don't they also lower the price of the OLED? Well, one, the OLED's not here yet. And two, they're going to take advantage of early adopters.
Still selling.
Yeah, they're going to take advantage of early adopters. Now, is it worth $100 more than the base model Switch? Hell no.
No.
But it doesn't matter. They're going to take advantage of the early adopters. So, one, it's always big news when there's a price drop because we're still in the midst of technically a pandemic worldwide, and Switch is continuing to sell out in many places. Not everywhere. It's not as bad as it once was, but it's still selling out in a lot of areas. It's still leading in the MPD. So it feels weird. Why would they lower the price? As Eric said, they're trying to get rid of the damn thing. They're still making them. They're not done producing them. But I said, after this holiday, I don't think they're making any more of the base model Switches.
Unless they run into a major issue in production with OLED.
And even then, we heard one of the reasons that they were going to OLED was because of a deal they made with Samsung, who was sitting on millions and millions of these OLED panels that nobody uses anymore because they moved on to flexible panels.
Right.
So they got a deal on already existing panels. And technically, the Switch uses all the same internals. Mm-hmm. It's just the panel, obviously, and then add the little update to the dock and all that. So that's obviously new and different boards. But it does streamline their production to eliminate any differences that exist between models that are basically the same thing with a different screen.
Right.
So it actually makes sense to tighten production lines and just go with Switch OLED moving forward. So again, it's going to feel weird this holiday if this happens. It's going to sound good at first. $250 for a Switch? It's only $50 more than a Switch Lite. They're obviously going to lower the price of Switch Lite too. Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe Switch Lite price cuts are finally coming like we got with the Nintendo 2DS.
According to that, the Lite and the OLED are going to stay the same price.
Yes.
But
yes,
you never know.
Yeah, that's for now.
A couple weeks from now.
And they could have just waiting for the Direct to happen, and they announced it at the Direct. I have no idea.
Yeah.
All I know is, to me, this is a very interesting prospect. Because this really just supports exactly what I've been saying this whole time. At some point next year, they're done making the space model. The current Switch OLED will drop by $50 and be $300. And then we can start looking forward to what's going to replace the more expensive version. And that's when we can start talking about the Pro or a new gen Switch, maybe in 2023, potentially next year, because 3DS had 3DS XL, and then they did the new 3DS a year later. But obviously, we all know about the production issues.
Yeah.
But then maybe the production issues go away if you're not making 3 separate models and you're only making 2. Because if they can produce enough now to make 3, and they get rid of one of those 3, then that leaves room for them to add a third in again. Mm-hmm. So that could be why they're doing this as well. Right. Whatever the case might be, it does appear, at least according to Nintendo Alerts, that next week we are going to get a price drop. Whether or not it actually happens exactly on that Monday, that I don't know. That's what they're claiming. They could actually hold it until they have a Direct and then announce it at the Direct and then drop it that week. So say there's a Nintendo Direct next Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. They could wait till then and then drop the price that same day. So it might not happen exactly on that Monday.
But
that is what they're claiming.
Yeah, the Monday, Tuesday type thing, because that 13th, 14th time range, isn't that when the normal kind of the time frame of when the
so September 13th and earlier,
happens?
September 13th and earlier has been when they have done Nintendo Directs. Mm-hmm. They haven't really done one on a Monday, and the 13th is a Monday.
Right.
So 14th, and I think the last 2 or 3 Directs have happened on Wednesday. So who really knows? Basically, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday are the days. Friday is a no-no.
Right.
Because Friday is Saturday in Japan. You could say, well, then they could do it on Monday. They could. That's definitely not out of the possibility, but they've never really announced the Direct on a Sunday before. But again, this is a new Nintendo, and who the hell knows? Maybe there will be a Direct on Monday. Maybe there won't be a Direct at all next week. I have no idea. They could just drop the price. They don't need a Direct to drop the price.
No.
Literally, they could just do Twitter announcements. Hey, new price heading into the holiday season for Nintendo Switch. Mm-hmm. Now, are they going to change the price of the bundled version with Mario Kart? No, probably not. They're probably still going to charge you $299. But you'll be able to buy a normal Switch for $249. And I think the only thing that's really hurt by this is obviously it does make Switch OLED look massively overpriced.
Yes, it does.
And Switch OLED already feels overpriced given the changes and obviously the fact that a Steam Deck's only $50 more, a PlayStation 5 digital version is only $50 more. An Xbox Series S is already $300, so it's even cheaper. So it already felt a little bit overpriced, but it also felt like, well, Nintendo's selling out at $300, so this one's better. They're going to sell it for more. It makes sense.
Yeah.
This does make me wonder. I don't think it's going to happen, but do you think it's possible that if next week they announce $250, that by the time Brilliant, Diamond, and Shiny Pearl come out in November, they actually cut the price of OLED too, down to $300?
And if I remember right, it comes out in early November, right?
Pokemon Shiny Pearl.
No, the OLED.
OLED comes out October 8th.
October, okay.
Less than 4 weeks. Same day as Metroid.
Yeah, okay, right.
Now, that would piss off a lot of early adopters.
Yes, it would. Yes,
but they did this with 3DS, and then they gave us the Ambassador program, which gave us some free games and stuff.
Maybe what I could see happening is them running a holiday deal that just never goes away. So they lower the price for the holidays, and it just
say it's a holiday sale, but then they just
magically doesn't re-up.
That would be interesting. They say, hey, special for the holiday, $299 Switch OLED, but then they just keep it there and they never apologize for it.
Yeah, right. I mean,
could I see Nintendo doing that? Yes. Is there a history of them doing that? There's a history in general of consumer electronics doing that. Sale for the holidays, but then they keep the sale price after the holidays. So it's interesting.
It's a sale. We swear.
I feel like this kind of lends credence to a little bit like cutting the price of the Switch and trying to prioritize the OLED and then pushing the OLED back down to $299 eventually, probably at some point next year, but even if it's a special sale for the holiday, I look at this as this actually makes sense in context to a different topic we had for today, and that was the lack of hype around the Switch OLED. Mm-hmm. Now, sure, some of us keep talking about Switch OLED now and then, but there really isn't much more what can I tell you about Switch OLED other than, hey, we're giving one away. So subscribe to the channel. That's how you enter to win one. We'll have a stream in early October to announce it. So yeah, I can tell you that. But outside of talking about my giveaway, I have no real reason to bring up Switch OLED until it's in my hands. Because Nintendo hasn't given us a reason to talk about it. Because I think when they showed it to us, that's it. There's nothing else. There's nothing. We know everything we need to know about it. Because the only thing we definitively aren't sure of is how good do the games look on it. And that's very hard to portray in a video. Which I'm going to attempt to portray it to you guys. Might even try to record in HDR so you can get the full true effect. Because I'll have a light, a normal one, and I'll have them all with the same games, right in front of you, so you can see what it looks like on camera. But that still looks different in person. So I'll try my best to show you as close to in person as I can. But Nintendo hasn't even done that, and I feel like that's the least they could do is show side by sides or something. Yeah. Off not direct feed obviously because that's going to look the same, but off camera. But whatever, Nintendo hasn't done that. And maybe they're leaving that to the media.
Yeah,
but
that's possible.
Nintendo hasn't even talked about it since then. It comes out in 3.5 weeks, and they haven't even mentioned it since then. We're getting Metroid Dread updates every day.
Which then leads me to
which comes out the same day.
Which then leads me to we're having a Direct soon, and then once the Direct hits, it's going to be you're going to be so sick of OLED.
But what are they going to do? I kept thinking, if I'm Nintendo and I got to market this thing, how do I market it? We told you everything, and I can't show you what the differences are. You just have to see it. So how do we market it? I don't really know. The only thing I can think of is, and this is something that I wish they would do. Maybe they will. Maybe this will be announced at the Direct. They need to bundle Metroid Dread
would be interesting.
The white OLED.
That would be interesting.
They need to have a Metroid Dread bundle. They do that. That gives you all the reason in the world to push that OLED comes out same day. And they honestly should be using Metroid Dread to remind people.
Oh, yeah,
same day.
Yeah.
Like I know they're trying to
100%.
tell you that white OLED is not a Metroid Dread OLED. I'm sorry.
No.
It's a Metroid
It's a
Dread
Metroid
OLED.
Dread.
They should just not even hide it anymore.
Yeah,
Even
no.
if they're not going to bundle the game with it, just say
Right.
screw it. Throw a Metroid Dread on the box. Throw a hot-ass Metroid logo on that sick white dock.
Oh, yeah.
And call it a day. You don't even have to do anything special,
Right.
even though I would love for you to, and just say, boom, special edition, Metroid Dread, Switch OLED, day one. That gives you all the reason in the world to advertise that Switch OLED releases that day.
Yeah.
But they haven't done that. So I feel like maybe they haven't done it because, one, Nintendo knows after the, do we call it outrage, backlash, feedback on it not being a Switch Pro?
Yeah.
That maybe Nintendo's like, oopsies.
Oopsies. I mean,
Maybe we should have made this thing the more powerful one, but we didn't. And so people aren't excited for it, and that's why we can't sell out in pre-orders in some countries. Like the UK is currently not sold out in pre-orders. So I do think, though, that Nintendo knows what they're doing, in so much that Switch OLED doesn't ruin the popularity of Switch. Just like the 2DS, the Wedge 2DS that nobody bought, didn't really ruin the popularity of 3DS, right? It's not going to affect sales.
Right.
So I think what Nintendo has been planning this whole time, as I said, is this is just like a version 3 Nintendo Switch, and there's just enough changes that they can't just slip it in there and not say anything. Like version 2 Nintendo Switch, the Redbox Switch, they barely said anything about it. They just kind of slipped it out there because it's pretty much the exact same platform with slightly better battery life. But this one's got a completely different kickstand. It's got a completely different color, you know, a white one. It's got an Ethernet port, and it's got a bigger, brighter, more vibrant screen. It's enough changes that they can't just be like, oh yeah, this is just version 3 Switch, have a good day. No, they gotta mention that this is a different Switch. But I think that this kind of, the lack of hype and the lack of Nintendo pushing it is because eventually this is just going to be your base model. They don't have to push it. Right. It's just going to be, you want a Nintendo Switch, and you don't want the light, you want one with a dock, that's the one you buy.
Right. Yeah.
Because there won't be any other options. And that, so the price drop, the fact that Nintendo's not really talking about Switch, you know, the Switch OLED, despite it coming out really soon, not giving us a reason to be super excited about it anyways. It's one of those, it all kind of makes sense if they're just trying to slip it in as a version 3. The only thing was obviously the price. And it would be cool if like Nintendo did decide after, like, because Steam Deck was announced after.
Yeah.
If Nintendo saw that, Nintendo saw how fans are reacting and said, you know what, before launch, we're even going to knock the price of Switch OLED to $300. Possibly. Nintendo's not going to do that, by the way, but it would be really cool. Like that, you want to talk about a pro-consumer move. Right. Oh, we're dropping the price of everything by $50. Switch Lite's $150. Switch, OG Switch is $250, and this is going to be coming in at the $299. I think people would really, really take to that.
Oh yeah,
they would still argue Switch OLED's not worth $50 more than the base Switch, but I mean, $50 saved is $50 saved.
It's still better than, you know, $350.
Yes.
So,
well, I don't think Nintendo's lowering the price of Switch OLED. They might not lower it at all this year. I think that's a next year thing. And so $100 price difference to me would be pretty steep. Reality is, we'll just buy the base Switch for $250. Then they're still going to be around.
Yeah.
At least for this holiday. So, we already own Switches.
Yes.
Okay, I'm getting the OLED just because I'm a YouTuber and this is what I do.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I personally probably wouldn't buy one. But because I do this YouTube channel, I am, and we're giving one away, and I want to do a comparison video. Got to have it on hand. So here's the thing. Even when they lower the price, I mean, for me as a current consumer, I really don't care. What's the matter to me? Lower the price.
Right.
The only thing you worry about, you know, if you have like a launch Switch like you is, well, maybe the battery doesn't last that long by now. That's okay. We can replace the batteries.
Yeah.
So I think that this is just, if they lower the price, I think it's a smart move. Because one, obviously, they have their competitors launching new systems in the last year, starting to make the Switch price maybe look a little bit more expensive. Plus, this tech's from 2015. It launched in 2017, going 4 or 5 years old. It's probably time for a price cut. And I feel like even though sales are close to selling out now, they're still not selling out right now, while everyone else is. Cut the price. Holidays, keep that price cut. You could actually keep your sales really, really high. I feel like it's almost the right time, basically, to do a price cut. Because it's always a conversation with Nintendo, when's the right time?
Right.
Well, it's still selling so well. And it will sell even better at $50 less.
Yes, it will. Yeah,
like, if there's people on the fence this holiday, oh man, do I sit there and hit refresh and try to grab a PlayStation 5, you know, with a copy of I don't even know, Ratchet and Clank or something like for my kid? Do I try to do that, or do I walk into Walmart for $250, grab him a Switch with a copy of Mario Party or something for significantly cheaper than just the cost of a PlayStation?
Right.
I think that's an interesting conundrum, and I think Nintendo, because I think Nintendo thinks, and I think this is probably a safe bet, that some of the other platforms will be in stores for the holidays. Like, right now, when you go into most Walmarts, you'll see Switches. You're not going to see Xboxes or PlayStations. But I think Nintendo's of the mind that that's going to change this holiday, especially for the Xbox Series S. I think the Xbox Series S is going to be massively stocked during the holiday period. People walk in and see that, and they see all the new games you can get for it, the Halo.
Yeah.
And then it's sitting next to a Switch that everyone knows and knows it's been around for a while, but it's not the new thing on the block anymore, and it costs the same price. No, it doesn't. $250 is $50 cheaper. I think there's just a mind game Nintendo wants to play this holiday to remind people, yeah, we got some cool games, but also, we're also the cheapest boy on the block. Because right now they're not. They're tied with Xbox for the cheapest on the block. And the OLED's more expensive.
Which is crazy.
So, if Nintendo wants to keep their price advantage, this would make a lot of sense. It didn't make sense last holiday when those systems launched because the systems were new, they were out of stock, and Nintendo couldn't even stock their own platform. So, it did. But now that Nintendo's catching up with stock, it does kind of make sense. So, I don't know.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. And do you think, because I think, if I remember right, Walmart stopped, like, in-store stock of both PlayStation and Xbox, didn't they?
They've never had them in stock in person.
Okay. You think they're going to, if they can actually get them in?
I think Xbox will be in store this holiday.
Yeah. With the S.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know about Sony yet.
Yeah.
I would like to, because Xbox has been in store in GameStops already. Now it sells out the same day, but they've been in store. So I do think that Xbox will be in store. I mean, I presume they're going to sell out. I have no idea. Maybe the S will be available for a little bit longer, but the Series X for sure will probably sell out. So I don't know if Sony's planning to be actually in stores. But I mean, if they are, just think about what it looks like. Xbox Series S at $300, OLED at $350, and then a PlayStation 5, the lowest model at $400. It's just going to make the Switch not look like a great value.
Right.
But then when you consider, because you get the light, we know what the light is, the kiddie one, right? What if I'm an adult and I want, $250?
Yeah, right. Okay.
150 cheaper than a PlayStation 5?
All right. That's tempting.
And it's got Mario. That's kind of cool. Zelda.
Yeah.
I mean, Shin Megami Tensei 5 for those excited for it.
Yeah. It's got some games.
It's got games. It's got a library. Games. See, Sony's got promises. Xbox has got promises. Well, Xbox will actually have Halo this holiday, so that'll be good for them. They'll at least have the multiplayer out. So they'll have that this holiday. But for the most part for Sony, it's promises, and for the most part for Xbox, it's promises. The Switch is going, yeah, we got these games next year, but look at this massive library we already have. You seen all these games? You seen all these, Animal Crossing New Horizons at 30+ million? You seen that? You seen that bad boy this holiday? Oh, yeah. I mean, and I wonder if this is also, if Nintendo does lower the price, is this when they finally start the Nintendo Selects line? For those who don't know, Nintendo Selects is something Nintendo always starts late. Well, not always, but since like the Wii days, has started late in a console's life cycle, usually year 5, where they take some of the best sellers and they start to call them Nintendo Selects and they charge them $20.
That'd be nice.
I mean, we all want Nintendo to drop prices. We always say they never do. Technically, they do eventually. Nintendo Selects, and it's a big drop. Going from MSRP on Breath of the Wild to $59.99, dropping to $19.99, it's a massive drop.
Yes.
But it's also because they think they can get a nice boost in sales doing that.
Right.
So,
no, I would agree.
I mean, if they're ready to start dropping prices, why stop with the system?
Yeah, you're not wrong. Yeah, no,
that's my thought. Why stop with the system?
That would pair well. Yeah, I think you're right.
So, again, I don't know if they're going to do that yet because also once Nintendo Select start, we can start counting down the final days of the platform. And I still think Switch is probably going to be here at least through 2023. I don't think a replacement's going to come until 2024 unless somehow the Switch Pro is real and that comes next year or in 2023. I have no idea how long this generation is going to last. Yeah, right. It could be around another 6 years for all I know.
Yeah, right.
But presuming the Switch Pro doesn't happen, I think 2024 is like the absolute latest a new gen Nintendo platform launches. So we'll have to wait and see. Yeah, got any final thoughts on the price cuts or maybe the lack of hype surrounding like the OLED?
I think a lot of it, like you had said earlier, is the fact that we had that build up and kind of a letdown. And so I think a lot of the hype kind of the balloon popped and the air just kind of went. So I think a lot that's the kind of the hype lost on it is kind of where I was at. It's not bad. Probably could have been better. Probably should have been better. So that's kind of I think where that's at. Price cut, I think it's a smart move. Hopefully it happens. But yeah, no, it's all about the sales. It's all about the money.
Money. All right. So while we're waiting for a Nintendo Direct, which I think we still think is happening this month, at least at some point, if not next week, the week after. If it doesn't happen this month, that would actually be kind of surprising considering the history of Nintendo. But then that probably starts to, early October maybe. Yeah. Before Metroid, before OLED comes out, right? Maybe they'll actually remind us it's coming.
Oh yeah, hey, by the way, OLED's
coming out, by the way. So anyways, we presume there'll be one this month. If there isn't, that sucks. But what we did have today was the PlayStation Showcase. This was basically their big showcase for the whole year. They've been trying to spread it out like Nintendo Directs and have multiple of them, but the last few haven't really been great. It really felt like they were banking everything up for one big showcase, because it used to be they would do it at E3 and they would let you know about their next 3 years of games. But since they're not at E3 anymore, we didn't really know when this was coming. It arrived, it was 40 minutes long, and they basically laid out their roadmap for the next 2 to 3 years. Which is what Sony does. And it's drastically different than the way Nintendo approaches it. They usually give you what's coming in the next 6 months and then a tease of like 1 or 2 things for next year. They don't give you the next 2 years, the next 3 years. Sony likes to just tell you everything, even if they have hardly anything to show. Example, they announced Wolverine today, made by Insomniac, the same people making the Spider-Man games. All we saw was a quick little CGI in a bar with him getting out the claws, and that was it. Mm-hmm. We're probably not going to actually.
Look good.
We're probably not going to actually see that game for 2 years.
Yeah,
like actual gameplay. But this is what Sony does, and they've been doing it now, pretty much dating back to the PlayStation 3, even when they were at E3. Is they just tease out years ahead of time. And there's 2 things I want to talk about with this. Well, we'll get to reacting to the games that were shown and all that, because obviously that's what's most important.
Right.
But there's a few conversations around this because I made a bit of a controversial tweet.
Oh boy.
A bit of a controversial tweet, because I watched the PlayStation Showcase after the fact, right?
Okay.
I watched it after it happened. I was busy with my kids. It was a bad time for that, but I watched it after the fact. And I'm sitting there watching it, and I'm not sitting there thinking, oh, I'm going to buy this, or oh, I'm going to buy that, or oh, this is a day one, or oh, this is going to make me pick up a PlayStation 5 again. I really wasn't thinking any of that. Because bottom line is, I am a Nintendo guy. I am biased to Nintendo. Things like Metroid Dread, things like Mario Party, things like a Mario Kart, things like Breath of the Wild 2, Splatoon 3, Pokemon Legends Arceus. All of these things excite me a hell of a lot more than pretty much anything Sony could show me. They could literally show me somehow they bought, Banjo-Kazooie from Microsoft, and here's a brand new Banjo-Kazooie game. And as exciting as that would be, it still, to me, would not be as exciting as all these Nintendo games.
That would be amazing.
Now, again, I am biased. And I know that I'm biased to Nintendo. I'm very consciously aware of my bias. And maybe that leads to some overcorrection in the other direction. But, that rhymed.
Nice.
I didn't mean for it to rhyme.
That was real smooth. I liked it. That was great.
But my thing is that I went into the show expecting it to be a pretty big show, because Sony, we really didn't know what the hell was happening. We haven't heard about any of their games pretty much since last year, so I was like, and they delayed their biggest one, so I expected it to be a big show. And they showed a lot of games. And in my, just looking at it from the outside looking in as someone that isn't really interested in these games, I tried to judge all of these digital showcases, be it at E3, whether it's Microsoft, Nintendo. Obviously, with Nintendo, I get a little overly excited for games, but then I sit back and reflect after and think, was it actually a good show? And like when I think back to the Nintendo Direct that happened at E3, or I guess what they called it, the E3 presentation or showcase or whatever. The thing is, I had Breath of the Wild 2. That was sweet. Had Metroid Dread. That was sweet. Sure, I was happy about Advance Forward 1+2 reboot camp. But again, like a remastering game. Another Mario Party game that we hope is going to be good. Like we hope the last one would be good. WarioWare, that's cool. But like you start looking through that, right? You start to realize, okay, it's Metroid Dread and Breath of the Wild 2. Like those are really the two announcements that I actually remember and cared about, which meant there was really only 2 games out of that entire showcase that excited me. Which made me realize, okay, and I'm heavily biased to Zelda, so anytime Breath of the Wild's present,
right,
it's like the best thing ever. But as I reflect back, it's kind of like, yeah, but most of the show sucked. And I can't forget the disappointment of the 35th anniversary of Zelda, only having that Game & Watch. Like, it honestly wasn't a fantastic showing for Nintendo. I think they really banked on Metroid Dread, and then obviously ending with Breath of the Wild 2, and they thought that would be good enough. And honestly, it was fine. It wasn't a horrible show. It just, it could be better.
It did help that everything else
everything else at E3 sucked too. So it was kind of like hey, you know what?
In comparison, this thing was like...
We're seeing games
100% better, or 1,000,000% better than what the rest of it was.
But upon reflection, I went back and I watched it today, and I realized, you know what? It was just all right. It was just all right.
Oh boy.
It was just fine. I think in general, if we're all honest as Nintendo fans, most Nintendo Directs, they're just all right. I don't really think any of them are bad. Some people do think there's actually bad Directs. I personally am not on any of the Directs are bad. But I am on most of them are just all right. I think my favorite one happened back in 2014, and that was a hell of a long time ago. Mm-hmm. So, like, most of the time, Nintendo Directs are just all right. And it is hype when we get, like, the one earlier this year when they announced Splatoon 3. Awesome.
Right.
But, like, does anyone remember what else they talked about in that Direct? What's Splatoon 3? I don't.
No.
Because most of it wasn't that memorable. So, I go into watching this showcase, and I start to think to myself, okay, let's see what Sony's got. Are they going to convince me to buy? And if they don't convince me to buy, can I at least take an objective outside look at their showcase and go, those are some high-quality games.
Mm-hmm.
Now, obviously, like, they had God of War Ragnarok there, and they had actual gameplay of that one there, so you can't hold the CGI argument against that one. So they had that game there. Okay, that's a pretty big game. For Sony fans, that's equivalent of Zelda. That's equivalent of Mario. That's a huge game. Looked pretty good. All right? They announced Marvel Spider-Man 2, which, again, didn't necessarily have gameplay. It was more of a CGI.
No, it said on there from the PlayStation 5.
Yeah, but it wasn't... If you played Spider-Man, there wasn't actually gameplay.
You're right. Sorry. It's
but here's the thing. It's made by
right.
Insomniac, who just did Miles Morales last year, and obviously the Spider-Man game a few years ago.
I love the fact that they're bringing Miles Morales into this game.
Well, they have a whole game for Miles Morales, yeah.
But
anyways,
still.
So, and the prior 2 Spider-Mans were amazing. So, let's make this akin to Bayonetta 3's Unveiling. Remember Bayonetta 3 back at the Game Awards? It was just a CGI showing of her leg kicking around and shooting bullets. That's what we got, and we got super excited about Bayonetta 3. And we didn't criticize Nintendo nor Platinum back then for unveiling the game in that way. And that's basically how they unveiled Spider-Man 2. So am I going to hold that against them when I wasn't doing that to Nintendo? I don't think I should. I don't think that's fair. So Spider-Man 2, big announcement.
Yeah, it looks good.
It's got Venom. That obviously excites the people. Right. Bottom line is, we have a precedent that the last ones are really good, so this one will probably be really good. All right, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic remake. This one was interesting because there was no gameplay. So the entire premise is us just knowing the original was great. This, to me, was one of the weaker announcements in the showcase. It was more of this game exists.
Yeah.
But we're not going to show you anything. It was just a CGI lightsaber light-up thing. Okay, what does that remind me of? Oh, remember when Metroid Prime 4 was announced back in 2017? And it was just a logo?
I was going to say, that's even worse.
It was just a logo? Did we criticize Nintendo back then for just showing us a logo? Or were we just happy that Nintendo confirmed we were getting another Metroid Prime game? Mm-hmm. Especially since, obviously, the last one was Hunters.
I know we have criticized them going forward.
Well, because it's been so long that they haven't shown it now. In hindsight, it looks like a bad thing.
Right.
But Nintendo did just give us that. And what are we more excited about? What this game is or what it could be based on what it used to be? Well, we're excited for Metroid Prime 4 based on what Metroid Prime 1, 2, and 3 were.
Mm-hmm.
We're excited for KOTOR, or people who are excited for KOTOR remake or whatever are excited based on the fact that the original game was amazing. We know just about the same about both of them, except that KOTOR actually was a real game at one point. Metroid Prime 4...
Questionable.
Yeah. So,
big old question mark.
I can't fault Sony fans for seeing this as a solid announcement. I looked at it objectively and I went, all right. I mean, compared to Nintendo announcements, that's not bad. All right,
that's
cool.
pretty cool.
Cool. Wolverine. Again, Wolverine's another Metroid Prime 4 style announcement. Bayonetta 3 style announcement. I get it. We'll have to wait and see. Some people like it, some people don't. To me, this wasn't necessarily a major announcement, but this was a nice, hey, this thing exists. We'll have to wait and see, right? Because there's no precedent for that other than, Insomniac's making it, but we don't have a Wolverine game for precedent here. So, like, we have Spider-Man games, so we know what to expect. This we don't know. We think the developer will do a good job. So this is, to me, sort of the weaker announcement. So I'm like, okay, but hey, it's nice to know it exists. Okay, cool. Then, they show games. Project Eve. They showed a lot of gameplay. Looked very good. That looked like a high-quality game.
I didn't see that one, but yeah.
Tiny Tina's Wonderland. Technically a third-party game coming to multi-platforms, but it looked fantastic back at the the Summer Game Fest, and it looks even better now.
I love me some Tiny Tina.
I'm not one to knock a show for having third-party games in it. We praise when third-party games appear in Nintendo Directs. Yeah. Oh, man. We're getting, there's a shock. We're getting Diablo 2 remastered. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Is it shocking? It shouldn't be anymore.
Octopath. You got probably a triangle strategy.
But they'll start off as exclusives, though, so it's a little bit different. They're starting off as a console exclusive. Yeah. Either way, I'm not going to knock a good-looking third-party game being shown. Yeah. So that, to me, is a solid showing. All right. Next. Forspoken. I'm sorry. We saw real gameplay of Forspoken, and it looks utterly amazing. This is what I was talking about, by the way, when I said, when you want to bring in female heroes, we start something new. Don't take old and shove it in there. Leave the hero of Zelda as Link. Leave the hero of Mario as Mario, even though we've had Playable Peach a few times. Mm-hmm. Leave those games in their iconic roles and start a new one. And that's what Forspoken is doing.
Nice.
And oh my God, did it look amazing. I'm sorry. That to me is that's a clappable moment.
Nice.
I was excited by that game. Yeah. Don't know if I'll ever play it, but damn, can I admit it looked like a pretty high quality video game. All right, now we get into some remasters. Uncharted 4, Thief's End, Lost Legacy, etc. We got some remasters coming. Okay, cool. I mean, can we complain as Nintendo fans? How many times have we just gotten remasters? Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, etc., etc.
Mario 35th.
Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Yeah, right. I'm just saying. Yeah. Okay, this is fine. This is going to happen every generation. All right, we got another look at Rainbow Six Extraction. Okay, another high-quality third-party game. Some people think we've seen too much of it, but hey, it is a game coming out soon, so it looks like a good game. I'm not going to lie to you. It actually looks like a good game.
I mean, Rainbow Six is a decent franchise. So.
Alan Wake Remastered, which was technically already leaked, I think a few days ago. But hey, we got to see it in action. We get to see it's coming October 5th. Again, another high-quality third-party game. Grand Theft Auto 5, finally getting a look at that in its remastered version. Cool. Some people will say, we don't care about GTA 5.
Yeah. Sucks it's delayed.
Okay, you don't have to care about GTA 5, but the 100 million people playing it do.
I mean, I just told you earlier, hey, now I can actually play GTA 5 because I got my Xbox. I'm getting my Xbox next weekend.
Yeah.
So,
because he didn't have the old gen platforms to play it on.
I'm going to have to wait. It is delayed, so it's, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
They showed off Gran Turismo 7 again and gave us a release date. That's cool. GT is really good. It's a good franchise. I know it's a good franchise. It's not a game I'm interested in, but I could watch that gameplay. I could watch the trailer and go, you know what? That's a good game. Okay. We got to see the Tichia.
Oh.
This was kind of we need to mix up the show. Because we've had a lot of violent games shown. We need something that's different. And this is probably the most Nintendo-like game they showed. And I got to admit, I'm glad it's coming out on PC because I'm buying it.
Freaking looks amazing.
As long as it holds up to that gameplay trailer, and it was a gameplay trailer, it looks really damn good. This is the kind of game that if this was a Switch console exclusive, we would be raving about it as Nintendo fans.
Yes,
but because it's on Sony, no, we can't give that game credit.
I gotta wipe my butt with it.
This game can't get the credit it deserves as Nintendo fan. Game so I'm looking at that, right? And the list goes on and on and on, right? We got a new Ghostwire Tokyo trailer, looked really, really good. We got a new look at Marvel Guardians of the Galaxy, which I get that we had a really long play session of that thing at E3, so some people didn't really want to see it again, but it is a high-quality third-party game coming out soon, also coming to Nintendo Switch, so even though it's a streamy one. We got another look at Deathloop, which I know some people are like, can we stop seeing Deathloop? The game comes out next week.
Yeah.
You expect them not to remind people?
Right.
So, I don't even bother. That would be like a sin. Do we really need to look at... It's like if the Nintendo Direct drops at the end of September and they show Metroid Dread, do we really need to see Metroid Dread again? They've been talking about it every week.
Yeah.
Well, but they're going to remind you it's coming out.
We just crapped on Nintendo for not reminding us about the OLED, so, I mean...
I'm not going to complain about the prior marketing for this game. When the game's about to come out, they got to remind you, right? In the big show. Then they had free-to-play Vampire the Masquerade Blood Hunt was showed. And they had Radiohead and Epic Games teases a mysterious collaboration about some sort of kid amnesia exhibition, but we didn't really get to see a lot about that. The show did start really weird. The first 5 minutes, I will admit, were kind of like, what the hell is going on? It was like this chess match, but it wasn't. I kept thinking the whole time, like, is this going to turn into a game? Because it kind of looks like the best badass chess, and it wasn't. It was just some really long 5-minute ad for the PlayStation's catchphrase, the PlayStation 5 catchphrase.
I thought you were going to say Verizon 5G.
Verizon 5G. It pretty much it was their Verizon 5G moment. It was the whole, play is unlimited. But nothing you showed was game anything. I mean, chess is a game, I suppose.
Yeah. But
and there probably is a chess game on PlayStation 5 you can play. There is one on Switch, too. There's several of them. But, I mean, that wasn't... It was a really long... It felt like a commercial for PlayStation 5 that overstayed its welcome by 4.5 minutes. It could have just been like a 30-second... It was really cool. They had kings and these towers and these people were fighting. And it was all this really... I captured your queen and you showed the police arrest. It was a cool thing, but it never led to anything that mattered. Except that play is unlimited. It's
yeah. Okay. Well, actually, speaking
that part was a waste of time. So it should have been 35 minutes.
Okay, nice.
Not that. And then towards the end of the show, they did some additional post-show stuff where they had some developer interviews on some of the games, and I'm cool with that. That's like Nintendo Treehouse style stuff. That's neither here nor there. That's kind of in addition to, not really part of the main presentation. So after going through that list of stuff and just thinking about this from the viewpoint of not someone who's so biased that it didn't matter what they showed, I'm more excited for Nintendo games, but just looking at it from how many quality games were shown off, and then looking back at the last handful of directs and rewatching them and going through and realizing how many of those directs did I just fall asleep during, where in this, my eyes were going wide on every new game that showed. And it made me realize this presentation probably is, better than any direct I've ever seen. Wow. Now, the caveat obviously is CGI this, CGI that, and I understand the CGI complaints. I get that, and I'm there for you. But Sony did this. The entire last generation gave a CGI trailer after CGI trailer and announced things years ahead of time. And then those games came out, and they ended up actually being pretty damn good games. So look, I'm not saying I like CGI. I would prefer gameplay, of course.
No, for sure.
But CGI has not been a precursor with Sony exclusives to bad games. Unlike things with Ubisoft, where sometimes they'll do CGI and then the game can't live up to the CGI, and it's just, or Cyberpunk, do we even want to go down there? And we actually saw gameplay from Cyberpunk, and it still was a lie and a shit show. So, the point is, even seeing gameplay doesn't necessarily mean... Because I think what people forget, and this goes for CGI, this goes for gameplay, this goes for trailers, this goes for hands-on previews. Everything leading to a game's launch is marketing.
Oh, yeah. And they focus on whatever that they're going to show.
So right now, they might not have any gameplay to show for the Wolverine game, but they want to let you know it exists. They could have just threw a logo up with Marvel. They decided, hey, let's give you this cute little CGI thing. You're not going to see the game for 2 years, but when you do see it, it's probably going to look good. Probably. I don't know.
Yeah.
Based on this presentation, I would assume it's going to look good, but we'll see. The point is, I kept looking at it and I'm like, Nintendo's never had a direct like this. The only thing they could do to compete directly would be if Nintendo decides to just tell us all the games they're doing the next 2 years and put it in a single direct. And Nintendo's never done that. And so since Nintendo doesn't do that, they do let us know years ahead of time. Hence why we know about Bayonetta 3. Hence why we know about Metroid Prime 4. Heck, we knew about Super Smash Bros. For Wii U and 3DS before it even started development. They told us, they announced it at E3, and it hadn't even started development yet. That's like, when we talk about Nintendo, they do sometimes announce games years ahead of time. Breath of the Wild, unless in 2014, came out in 2017.
Well, I mean,
I'm just saying, granted, that wasn't the plan, and some of that had to do with the Wii U flopping. But the point is that like Nintendo does sometimes announce things years in advance, knowingly years in advance. When they announced Metroid Prime 4, they knew that game was 2-3 years off. They knew it. And that was before they knew they were going to reboot it. So, point is, Nintendo sometimes does it once in a while. Sony does it all the time. You'll know everything coming to Sony years before they come out. That's their approach. So, I went to this presentation and I thought, you know what? This is better than any direct I've ever seen. Now, future Sony presentations won't be. Because the surprises are gone. We know what the games are going to be. Yeah, seeing gameplay is going to be great, and that's going to be hype. It's going to be exciting, but it's also going to be, there's not going to be a lot of new things announced because we already know a lot of the new things. So we're not going to get another presentation like this, I don't think, for a while.
Right, next year.
You don't know. I mean for years, because they gave us all the games coming all the way through 2023.
Oh, jeez.
So, like, we're going to see those games again.
Yeah.
We're going to see Wolverine eventually, and Spider-Man 2, but we're not going to get a big presentation giving us 3 years advance notice on things until they get past all the current games.
Right.
So, yeah, to me, this was better than a direct. I think my exact words are, Sony's presentation did destroyed any Nintendo Direct I've ever seen, and I've seen every single one of them. And you just said that to be controversial. No, it's how I feel.
Yeah. That's
setting my bias for Nintendo aside. I am not a lesser Nintendo fan because I'm excited for Sony stuff.
Right.
It's that I think Sony
deserves a
clap.
I mean, you're a gamer.
I'm a gamer first.
Yeah, right.
Bottom line, I'm a gamer first. I'm not just a Nintendo guy. I'm a gamer first, and I can admit Sony had a really great show today.
Yeah.
Better than any direct I can even remember. Now, maybe my memory's bad, but it's my thought today. This does not mean that Nintendo is doing shit. This is not a referendum on Nintendo's upcoming lineup. This is not a referendum on 2022. How many times have we told you guys how I think the lineup the rest of this year is solid and that Nintendo's already, based on what we know, crushing it in 2022?
Yeah.
How many times have I said that? So, like, why do I need to remind people that I still think that just because I thought Sony crushed it today better than Nintendo ever has? It still doesn't give you anything to play on your PlayStation 5 today.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
So, like, I don't
I
don't understand why people get so angry thinking I'm trying to get outraged by saying, oh, this destroyed any direct. Look, I'm going to make comparisons because when I watch Microsoft's events, they're what do they call them? Some State of Plays are Sony. Microsoft is Xbox Insider. So, like, when I watch these digital events as a Nintendo guy, what do you naturally compare them to? The digital events you watch all the time, which are Nintendo. So it's natural for me to compare it to Nintendo. It's not something done to spite Nintendo or draw controversy. It's me saying, hey, I actually think this. This is my raw and honest thoughts. If people want to disagree, it's fine.
Yeah.
But I also find a lot of the people that disagree, not everyone, but a lot of the people that disagree, I think either are pushing a console wars narrative based on some of the comments, or, which we all know, I'm not dumb, console wars are a thing. They're stupid, but they are a thing. As you said, I'm a gamer first.
Yeah.
But also, I do think there is something to be said for people not being able to be like me, and I should be more understanding of this. Most people can't set aside their bias and personal preferences to appreciate other things that people are going to enjoy.
Yeah.
I can set aside all of my love for Nintendo and look at, almost objectively, look at Sony's show and go, this was a really damn good show. I might not play any of those games. That has nothing to do with whether or not I thought it was a good show. And I'm not saying you're wrong for using your personal preferences to determine what's a good show. But I also think this is why so many people think there's been so many bad Nintendo Directs. Because it didn't have anything that you liked in it.
Right.
But does that mean it was actually a bad show? I don't think so. That's why I don't think there's ever been a bad Direct. What's the point of the Direct? To show you new games. Every Direct has new games. Just because they're not the games you want doesn't make it a bad show. But people are always in this thing, I can't get behind the Sony show because it wasn't a bunch of games I want to play. Well, yeah, if you're a Nintendo fan, they're not even coming to your platform.
Yeah.
So
that's
I just maybe I need to be more understanding that in general, people can't set aside their personal preferences to attempt to look at things objectively. And honestly, there's always that conversation, is objectiveness even real? How can any of us not have any biases?
Yeah. No.
And people think, like, some people today are like, oh yeah, you're starting to become Sony Prime. Look, I sold my PlayStation 5. I don't even have a Sony platform in my house right now. I smashed a PlayStation 3 with a hammer, the only other platform I had, on live stream last year.
Smash with a hammer.
I literally don't play games on Sony platforms. I probably will pick up a PlayStation 5 again eventually because, some of the games did look interesting. But I'm not going to be avidly playing it like I do Switch. And I know that because I owned it for months and I didn't.
Right.
I avidly was still playing Switch, occasionally Xbox. So my whole thing is, I think they put on a hell of a show. It didn't really make me want to buy a PlayStation 5, but I can still look at these games and admit they're pretty high quality experiences. At least they look to be. We'll see if they are when they come out. Obviously, we don't know until they come out. And I don't take back my words on Twitter about it destroying all Nintendo Directs, because Nintendo and Sony approach things differently, and the way that Sony approaches things is going to lead to them having a massive show like this in a way that Nintendo never will, because Nintendo doesn't do it that way. That doesn't make what Nintendo does wrong, where they focus more so on the here and now. It's just different.
I mean, here's the other thing, too.
I'm not going to say I like things announced 2 years in advance, but I will say I like things being announced.
But here's the thing, too, then. If they announce more in one go, you get less directs in a year. Do you want more directs? Or do you want less directs?
A bigger direct?
Yes.
Like, imagine that Breath of the Wild 2, Splatoon 3, Metroid Dread,
and also, I think with more
Sparks of Hope,
with more
and, like,
smaller,
all the big games that we've had announced for Switch over the last year were instead in one direct. Would you prefer that over it being split up? I don't know.
Right. We've never seen it.
I would say
probably won't
if they did put it all in one, it'd be the best direct of all time.
100%.
And I'd be saying this, and nobody would probably argue with me on that. They'd all agree it's the best direct ever made because it had the most big announcements in it. And that's what I'm saying with Sony. There were so many big announcements in this. Even if some of them are years up, I can't just look at it and go, oh yeah, it's not even as good as the last Nintendo Direct. No. Yeah, for me personally, there's games I enjoy more out of the last Nintendo event.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't objectively make it a better event.
Mm-hmm.
It means my bias leans towards Nintendo.
Right.
But I can still look over my shoulder and go,
and
that was wow.
And obviously,
I've never seen that from Nintendo. We've never gotten a show like that.
Right. And obviously Nintendo knows what it's doing. What it's doing is working for them. So why would they change what's, working for them and go to what's working for a competitor?
I think fans forget because we got directs back this year.
Mm-hmm.
Think back to last year. How many of you guys were raging over partner showcase directs?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm so angry. I'm so this. Never mind that they were still announcing Age of Calamity, and we had the 35th anniversary of Mario, and we had Animal Crossing last year. And I'm not saying last year was a great year for Nintendo, but what I am saying is that, hey, they still found a way to announce games anyways without directs, and then you got mad over the third-party partner showcase directs. And it's like, but Nintendo's just using directs for what they've always used them for. Mm-hmm. Advertising upcoming games.
Right.
They didn't have any of their own upcoming games, so they use it to advertise third parties.
Yeah. And I think the way Nintendo does it, too, also allows more individual games to shine and get its own spotlight. So, because Breath of the Wild 2...
Smaller games get a lot bigger spotlight, too.
Breath of the Wild 2, Splatoon 3, the couple ones that you mentioned before. If all those were in one direct, I mean, yeah, that'd be amazing, but, Breath of the Wild 2 would probably possibly overshadow Splatoon, which might overshadow something else. I
don't think that would happen. I think what gets overshadowed when you do that is WarioWare.
Yeah.
Mario Party. Advance Wars 1+2 Reboot.
Which also people might not care.
All of these games don't get overshadowed because there's not so many big games shown off in every direct. Mm-hmm. So it actually allows them more time to shine. And that's Nintendo's approach, because they release more games than Sony does. That's just a fact. They just do. Nothing wrong with that. Mm-hmm. But Nintendo wants all those games to do as best as they can. So it wouldn't make sense to just pile all these big announcements in and then try to slip WarioWare and other things in between. Because people are going to forget who cares about WarioWare coming out, or just came out? Who cares about WarioWare? Right. Or about to come out, comes out tomorrow. Yeah. Who cares about WarioWare? Because, hey, I just saw a new trailer for Splatoon 3, Breath of the Wild 2, Metroid Prime 4, Bayonetta 3, what else we want to throw out? Mario Kart 9. We just saw all this stuff.
Saw the logo for Metroid 4.
Well, Mario Kart 9, but it's not coming till 2023. Doesn't matter. We saw a CGI trailer. Right. We saw some gameplay. Let's speculate about that because that's going to be a bigger deal and sell way more copies than any of these other games. Mm-hmm. And it completely overshadows them. I don't think, you're saying the big games overshadow each other. I don't think that's really the case. I don't think like Breath of the Wild 2 overshadows Splatoon. I think they overshadow the smaller games, or if there's like Skyward Sword HD and then Breath of the Wild in the same thing. That's the same franchise. But.
Overshadow may not be the correct word. It takes away some of the hype, I think, possibly just because of. I think a lot more people might be more hyped for one game versus you get more hype. You get the hype here, and then all of a sudden in the next direct, all of a sudden you get just as much hype for this game too, and it's like
so. If you think, so if Nintendo did one direct, in the way that Sony just did, where they give us 8, 10 big announcements, big games shown, even if they're not new announcements, it's like Breath of the Wild 2 is not new, but another look at it.
Right.
You don't think that the reaction to it would be insanely positive and drive hype for everything? Because think about it, you wouldn't be able to blink. Right. It would just be. But you just get hype after hype, non-stop hype. Like, it just doesn't stop from beginning to end. It's just big game after big game.
Yeah.
Like, think about how cool that is. Right.
No, I get you. Okay.
Like imagine, we know about 4 big games that come next year. Mm-hmm. We obviously have Dread this year. Imagine that we found out about all those games at the same time. Would the hype be any less? We know about all the games now. Would it be any less if we found out about them all at the same time?
Nah, yeah, I guess. Yeah, no,
because that's what Sony does. They just tell you all at once. It doesn't kill the hype, doesn't kill the sales, so why would that happen for Nintendo? If anything, it might drive the stock prices through the freaking roof. Yeah. But again, I'm not saying that I actually want Nintendo to do that, but I am saying they take 2 fundamental different approaches, and Sony's approach leads to once in a blue moon. By the way, it's only once in a blue moon. Most of the Sony state of plays are horrible, horrendous, and way worse than anything that Nintendo shits out. I'm not even kidding. I've watched all the state of plays. Most of them are just not good. But this particular one means that every once in a blue moon, they can have this massive one. Mm-hmm. Now, the next handful of state of plays probably aren't going to be that great. And I know some people are upset. Like Kenna, that was a big game that a lot of us were excited about. Comes out really soon. We were hoping to see in here. But you could see how that didn't fit because it would have got overshadowed by all the other big games. And again, that also fits the pattern for, well, if this was a Nintendo Direct, you would have saw a game like Kenna again. Mm-hmm. Because it wouldn't have been overshadowed. So again, there's positive and negatives to all the approaches. My viewpoint is, just looking at all of the different shows, this show had more big games, quality games in it than any other Direct that's ever happened. Ergo, it's the best. Even if it's not something that I'm personally interested in, I can appreciate the quality of games. Mm-hmm. And that we don't get that in Nintendo Directs.
Yeah, no,
we don't. It's just a fact. We don't get that many high quality games in one Direct. It just doesn't happen. E3 is usually the biggest one.
Maybe
and E3 is usually the biggest one where maybe we get 3. And you could argue, we did get 3 at E3. Depends on what you consider the 3. Shin Megami Tensei 5 is a game we already knew about. Mm-hmm. We have WarioWare and Advance Wars were new ones, but Advance Wars is just a port, a rebooted port or whatever. Like, so I don't know.
Yeah, no,
this isn't me. I was never throwing shade at Nintendo. Me saying that this thing dominated or destroyed or whatever exact word I used all prior to Nintendo Directs wasn't me slamming Nintendo. It was me saying that's just how impressive this show was. What Nintendo does obviously works for Nintendo.
Yeah.
And what Sony does, CGI trailers, showing things 3 years in advance, clearly works for them. Look at their platforms. All of them sell over 100 million units. PlayStation 5 barely has anything worth playing right now and is the hottest selling platform in the world in terms of it's selling faster than any new platform launch has ever sold in the history of platforms. It is destroying record books.
That is nuts.
And it doesn't even have like a must-own game. Like, Sony clearly knows what they're doing. Nintendo with Switch clearly knows what they're doing. Does Nintendo always know what they're doing? It seems like every other generation they kind of know what they're doing.
Yeah, right.
So like, really, it's whatever the next generation is after Switch. We should really worry about.
They figure it out, and then they forget, and then they figure. Oh, they're like, oh yeah, wait a minute, we remember how to do this, and then they do it, and then they're like, wait, what were we doing again?
So I'm not going to apologize for my comments if people are looking for that. I think it's just these are my opinions. My opinions that I feel are a little bit unbiased, but obviously I can't ever say there's no bias. And I'm just as big of a Nintendo fan as I was before Sony and PlayStation 5 even existed. I just can't ignore when people put on a good show.
Yeah.
I'm a gamer, man.
Yeah, right.
They put on a fucking good show. That being said, what are your thoughts on the show? Was there anything in their show that excited you?
I didn't actually watch the show itself. I watched a few trailers from it. What the heck is that game? The T one. Dang it, I forgot the name of it already.
Is it that what should we call it one?
It starts with the T. Oh, it's besides Tiny Tina. That was awesome.
Tiny Tina.
Tiny Tina. I love me some.
Are you talking about that
yes,
cartoon style one?
Yes.
Animals?
The
Tichia or whatever.
Yeah, that looked so phenomenal. That was
a very clean looking,
absolutely.
just becoming the animals.
I know. I watched in order. It was Kotar, Wolverine, Spider-Man, and then it was a couple of smaller ones, and then it was that one, and I was like, okay, this just kicked the shit out of everything else I just watched.
Yeah, because it's the kind of game that you're into.
Yeah.
I mean, you like the Tiny Tina and the Borderlands,
right,
of course.
Right.
Yeah, but like you look at these other games, you're like, okay, yeah, Spider-Man looks cool, this is cool, but like it's always there's something about those games, and this isn't me knocking those games. They are definitely ones that require a lot of dedication to play, and that's fine. Like I played Miles Morales, I beat it. I didn't beat the original Spider-Man game, but I did beat Miles Morales, and I honestly was playing it for the story. The gameplay was good, but I was playing it for the story because I love Spider-Man. I love Marvel, so I'm playing it for the story, and that's what drove me. But I don't have time to play a lot of games like that. And I think that's kind of like, this is like a game that you don't necessarily need to sink hundreds of hours in, but you just might do it because you want to.
Right. No, for sure.
Versus other games that you kind of have to get into.
I think a part of it also is this feels like a Nintendo game. It
did. It was the most Nintendo-ish game in the whole thing.
Like a Nintendo game.
It does.
This does not look or feel like it should be on a PlayStation 5.
It was weird. Not because PlayStation, by the way, I'm well aware that PlayStation has games like this.
Right.
It's just, when you look at the totality of the showcase, it's like, sticks out compared to everything else.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that was my favorite by far trailer / announcement. And you're like, I remember I was saying something, and they're like, you haven't even got to the good part. And I went, what? And then all of a sudden, like 3 seconds later, I'm like, oh my God, you just became the bird.
Yeah, you were all excited
Holy
about
crap.
it. Just wait. Oh, you can become the animals. I'm like, there it is.
Yeah.
There it is.
Dude.
There it is. And I immediately was like,
freaking amazing.
This is coming in. Oh, it's coming to PC. Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, right. Epic Game Store. Yeah.
Not that I'm excited about the Epic Game Store. That's all right.
Yeah.
What it
Epic
is.
will find a way to screw it up. Because it's
They
Epic.
give you a free game. Well,
I
I mean, it's just like when people say, oh my gosh, look at all these free games I got on PlayStation. You mean with the paid subscription you have?
Yeah.
That's not free. You paid for it.
Yeah.
They're just, it's like, Nintendo Switch Online. Oh yeah, we get the free Nest. It's not free when you got to spend money to access it. It's paywall.
Yeah.
Just so you're aware, that's not free. You're paying the subscription fee to access it. You're subscribing to play those games. Cancel your subscription and then see if you can still play those games. Yeah.
Not so much.
Only while you're subscribed. But yeah. So, I don't know. I don't really,
I didn't watch it, like I said.
You didn't watch all the stuff, I know.
But so I can't comment on, the flow of the show, anything like that. But the games looked phenomenal. I mean, I'm excited for it. And I'm like, there's part of me, I think during that trailer, I'm like, oh crap, now I gotta get a PlayStation 5, don't I?
You did say that. And I was like, let me get it.
Yeah.
You got the Xbox. We'll make it work. Then I said, but I need the Xbox again so we can play Madden to it.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Yeah.
Because Sony won't let us have crossplay, damn it. See, I'm still critical.
Sony.
Just because I think they had a good show. They have really shitty cooling.
Yeah, Jesus fanboy. God. They have
shitty cooling, and they suck with crossplay. Even today, even as they allow it, not everything has it.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah.
So I'm not like a Sony pony over here. I can admit to it was a good show.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was better than any direct I've ever seen. but I also can admit most of their state of plays are not that great. And it really felt like they were trying to copy Nintendo in a lot of them and not able to do it. This is one of the first ones that felt like Sony just did what we usually expect them to do at an E3.
Blow you out.
And they like that's usually what they do at an E3, and they did that here. Cool.
Yeah.
Good for them.
Yeah.
All right. So I guess we could take some questions, I guess, from the chat here for a little bit. If you guys have any topics or any questions for Eric and I, we could take them. We meant to do this a couple of podcasts ago, and we ended up not finding the time for it. But we got a little time now. If anyone here wants to ask any questions in the chat, so you can just at Nintendo Prime in the chat, and I will start grabbing some questions. Obviously, any super chats or whatever that automatically jumps to the top of the pile. You guys are awesome. Thank you for showing out on a Thursday. I do apologize for this.
Yeah, sorry, that's my fault.
This show coming a week later. He had a job application he was filling out and all this, and I had a guest, but the guest was kind of wishy-washy with me, and I said, you know what? I could still get an episode out, but let's just, if it's not working for him, and the guest is kind of like, yeah, I could come, but there's this other thing. Look, go do your things. I don't pay you guys to be here.
Right.
Go do your things. It's fine. We'll push this to tomorrow, and then the guest can come, but that's fine. We're all good. So you guys got any topics you want to cover? David Agile says, have you seen the Egg NS Android Switch emulator? I can officially say no, because I don't pay one damn iota of care to Switch emulation.
Yeah.
Because I don't believe that people should be emulating Switch games anyways. At least not yet.
Yeah.
Maybe in like 5-10 years, sure.
Right. Like
I don't think now, while the games are readily and easily purchasable, and you have access to all of them, and you can easily get a Switch or a Switch Lite, I don't think people should be doing it.
NES,
That's my
NES, Super Nintendo, 64.
Yeah. Some of the stuff I don't care
that.
about, but current platforms, I'm sorry. I'm not going to pay attention to the emulation scene because I don't give two shits.
Yeah.
Don't be doing it. It's against the law. Not against the law to emulate, but against the law to download ROMs. And if you're honest, how many of you people that play those emulators created your ROMs yourself? You can legally make them yourself, but how many of you actually did that? If you didn't, if you downloaded it off the internet, you committed a crime. I'm not saying you should go to jail for it. I do think laws need to be updated. But also, there's not really a reason to do it outside of just saying you don't want to spend the money.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now you could argue, oh, but I want to play it on a hack Switch. Fine, play it on a hack Switch. You don't have to emulate it to do that.
Right.
You can hack your Switch and increase the clock speeds and still use a legal copy.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways.
Yeah. I do want to throw out one thing. I know we touched on Verizon 5G a little bit. I saw another commercial for Spectrum, their 5G. And again, I called it right away. They're like, this is going to revolutionize everything. I'm like, is this a 5G commercial? And it was like, because it was not in that like realm when it first started out. I'm like, this is a 5G commercial, isn't it? Is this Verizon? No, Spectrum. Okay, 5G. Still didn't tell me what it's going to do to revolutionize anything.
Because
Verizon.
Verizon didn't tell you, and Spectrum just uses Verizon's towers.
Yeah, right.
So it's the same internet.
Right.
It's the same
but it was
towers.
I'm like, so apparently
I know because I have Spectrum Mobile because it is cheaper than Verizon, but it uses the same Verizon towers.
So apparently, 5G just will magically do everything.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think if you have a good 5G connection, things like xCloud will be awesome.
Yeah.
But what do they not tell you? Well, you got to have a pretty direct line for good 5G. And that's the issue with 5G right now is it's very easy to interfere. When I'm out in the cities and I'm out at a cafe and there's a little 5G thing right outside the cafe, oh, it's awesome. It's awesome. Yeah, you mean you're getting like 200, 300 down, 300 up. It's sweet. Yeah. But that's only while I got that direct line. I get on the bus and I go down the block, all of a sudden the direct line's cut off, suddenly it doesn't even work and I'm back on 4G. So, yeah, it is great. It is great when you're in the most ideal of situations.
Yeah.
Does it make things different? I don't know. I still use my phone the same way. I guess I didn't have to wait for any buffer on Netflix. That was
there you go.
Cool,
yeah.
But
like I said,
on 4G LTE, you got to wait for a buffer.
I just found it really funny that two different commercials from different companies don't tell you anything.
Nope.
It's going to magically do everything.
Yep, it's just magic.
Cool.
Logan LeBlanc says, do you think we'll ever get a Luigi's Mansion 4?
Ooh. That would be awesome.
Luigi's Mansion 3 sold almost 10 mil. We're getting a fourth one. Now, will we get it? Will we get it this generation, though? I think is a better question.
Ooh, yeah.
It came out in 2019.
If they do a pro version, yes. I think
Okay,
we might.
so if Pro comes out and extends the life another year or two, you're
I
saying
think
yes.
so. Yeah.
Okay. Let's see here.
That's my thought.
Gouda Gang Eli says, you're the first Nintendo YouTuber to be honest and say you're fanboying, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm a simp for Nintendo and a Sony pony. Yeah, like, the thing is,
So,
I know my
you're a gamer.
bias. Here's the thing. I don't consider myself, like you say, you're fanboying. I don't consider myself a fanboy because a fanboy wouldn't be able to admit they're a fanboy.
Right.
That's like the number one thing about being a fanboy is, no, they're just the best. Like, no, I can recognize my biases and personal preferences. I know. I'm well aware of it. So, to me, it's not that big of a deal.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, I know that I have bias and preferences. We all do. Mm-hmm. I can just recognize mine and still appreciate other things because I enjoy games over anything else.
Yeah.
I play games on my PC. I mean, we were just playing Madden the other day on my PC. Like I play games on other things. I don't just play on Nintendo. I've never just played on Nintendo. I've always played on Nintendo and PC. Nintendo and Xbox and PC.
Nintendo's been the steady core.
I've always had the Nintendo platform since I was a kid. But
there's always
I always have other and.
Yeah.
I play other things.
Right.
So maybe that's why some people I think just go to one platform and they never get off it.
Yeah. And if it works because they have the games that you want.
And what also helps that I think it's stupid that people that prefer one platform feel like they have to put down someone else's choices to make themselves feel better about their own choice. Yeah. I always say, if you feel so great about your choice, why do you give two shits about what other people are doing? Or do you actually not feel so great and you're actually jealous? And so you got to put them down to make yourself feel better because you actually don't feel good about your purchasing choice.
Yeah.
Personally, I love my Switch. I don't have to justify it to anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
I could say things like, Sony had a better showcase than anything Nintendo's ever done because it doesn't affect my enjoyment of Switch. Mm-hmm. It's just me being... I'd like to say objective. Maybe it's not objective, but it's just me giving you my honest thoughts.
Right.
Like, I don't know. So, of course, I have a bias and an affinity for Nintendo. I don't know if I'd say a fanboy because I can recognize it. But based on other people I've talked to, especially today, where I don't think they realize how biased they really are, it gets pretty bad. It's almost like Sony could literally make a game called Mario that's better than any Mario game ever made, and Nintendo licensed them to do it, but it's exclusive to Sony. But because it's exclusive, it's a piece of shit. And it's weird. Like, some of these games, I feel like, if Nintendo owned them and they were exclusive to Switch, I have a feeling a lot of people that were arguing with me today on Twitter would be completely flipping their tone on how awesome these games are. They would think they're the greatest things. Like, if Forspoken was a Switch exclusive, I'm sorry, people would be flipping their shit as Switch owners.
For sure. I agree.
Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, look at this showcase as if these were coming to Switch, as if this was a Nintendo Switch showcase. Then tell me what you really think. Mm-hmm. But they can't do that.
No.
So, let's see here. Michael Orlando said, any chance you have, any idea or have even heard any rumors about when Fall Guys is finally coming to Switch? God, no. They announced this so long ago, and I still have no idea when it's coming. It's weird, right? It's probably going to be next year at this point. It's weird. It doesn't feel like a game they should have such a hard time coming to Switch.
Yeah, right.
I think Eric might look it up here quick. What I do want to get out of here while Eric's doing a quick search on Fall Guys for Switch is how's our audio sounded today? I don't think I've gotten any honest feedback on it yet. I'm very curious what you guys think about our audio today. We are debuting brand new mics. If we have to adjust volume and stuff, we've been trying to pay attention to it because these ones aren't as sensitive as the old ones because they're actually higher quality mics.
Yeah.
But just because they're high quality doesn't mean it sounds that way. I know we've had a number of audio complaints in the last few episodes during the show. Some of it was because we were setting up a new computer and we had like the mic audio on the camera and stuff like that. But even afterwards, I even noticed listening back through, okay, there was some garble, there was some clicking sometimes. And I'm just curious, how it's sounding to you guys that have been listening, especially this whole show. Because my goal, obviously, anytime we add new audio equipment to the equation is I want it to get better. I don't want it to stay the same. I don't want it to get worse. I want it to be better. And yes, we have extras in case we break one. Although these ones are much harder to break.
Oh, God.
You guys probably can't tell on camera. It's really small to you. These cables are like 3 times as thick as the ones on our old one.
Oh, yeah.
So much harder to break. Also, obviously, they don't really stay straight easy, but it doesn't matter for our
purposes. That's because
Yeah, they were wrapped up.
Wrapped up
For our purposes, it doesn't matter. And obviously, the mics themselves are a lot bigger. But I'm curious what you guys think. Paul Gale Network saying the audio is clear. Audio's good. Audio is crisp. It's really nice. Great improvement. Thank you, Loki. See, Loki would know. He's been in a lot of our shows.
Nice.
Thank you for getting my question. No problem, man. Something comes this fall?
There's no release date.
There's no official release date?
Just 2021. I am seeing something that was delayed out of its original summer 2021. But nothing.
So we're not seeing any official date.
Yep, delayed. Crossplay coming.
Audio is loud and clear, guys. Thanks, Deadman Walking 89. I appreciate the feedback. Audio is good. A few cracks at the beginning. There was a few cracks at the beginning.
Weird.
But it hasn't cracked the rest of the time. I wonder if that was just just turning the mics back on. If that was a Streamlabs thing.
Yeah, possible.
It could have just been because we unmuted the mics.
Yeah.
So it might have took a bit for it to equalize. There's also a setting on OBS I can change that can help with that as well. That's another reason why I want to have that feedback. A few more questions we have coming in. Sean Corrigan says, have you heard anything else on Odyssey team making a Donkey Kong game rumor? Has there been any mention of an Odyssey 2? They did Galaxy 2 after all. I have not heard anything. There hasn't been any updates other than people just saying it still exists. So the Donkey Kong game supposedly still exists. Don't know when it's going to be announced. And then obviously, when you dig deeper into it, you have what's happening with Mario Odyssey. Are we getting another one? It would make sense. It sold 20 million, but we don't know. I feel like if they could get announced next year, because I feel like either next year we're going to get a new Mario game announced or a new Mario Kart announced. One of the two. Maybe both.
Ooh, that'd be
one of the two. And it'd be sweet if it also came out next year. Because next year's starting to shape up like a repeat of 2017.
That would be huge.
2017 was amazing. So if we got like Xenoblade 3 next year, plus Mario Kart, plus Mario... oh my God.
Don't forget Pokemon.
Oh my God.
Don't forget Pokemon.
Pokemon Legends.
But that's a new one to the list.
Literally new.
Not a repeat from 20...
Somebody want to... oh, what mics are these? Do I have the box right there? Eric, can you reach that?
Yep.
Taller than me. So these are Movo. I know that. So these are the Movo LV8-D professional omnidirectional lavalier microphone. They're XLR mics. They run anywhere from $70 to $100 each, depending on the day and their stock levels. We bought 3 of them, so we have 1 extra one. Plus, we still have our old mic, so we technically have 4 altogether. We would obviously like to never have to use that old one again unless we're in a 4 mic setup for some reason. And we happen to have 4 people here, which we could make work. We actually have enough chairs to do it.
Yeah.
I don't have the audio interface to do it, though, but that's something that I'll worry about if we ever have a 4-person in-person podcast. It's they're nice. I got them directly off their website. They also are available on Amazon. Our old mics were also Movo ones, but they were a lot cheaper. And I mean, the build quality alone on these is just significantly better. A lot more heavy duty. But the mics themselves are supposed to be a lot higher quality. But this is the first day I've had them, and I haven't made a video with them yet. Yeah. This is literally the debut of us using them. Yeah. So that's why I haven't even been able to really. We listened to them back briefly beforehand just to make sure they worked. Yeah. And it sounded great, but that was in a non-stream situation. Yeah. And I haven't had headphones on editing a video with them yet to really know. But I assume they must sound a lot better because. More expensive doesn't always mean better, but they're definitely better build quality.
Well, I mean, just the XLR ends themselves is a lot less chintzy.
Oh, yeah. Almost like you didn't even realize the other one was chintzy until you held this.
Right.
And you're like, oh.
I mean, that one's metal, but this one's metal. I mean, it's
heavy duty.
It's heavy duty.
So yeah, if anyone's interested in them, they are XLR though, so you do need an interface. These ones also, by the way, do need phantom power. I don't know if our old ones needed phantom power. I know they wouldn't work unless it was on, but I think that was more of our interface needs it on. But I think those ones actually work without phantom power. These ones need phantom power. For anyone interested in audio equipment, you'll know what I'm talking about when I say you need phantom power to use these. I have it plugged into, by the way, people always ask, a Scarlett 2i2. So that's what we use for our audio interface for 2 people. I do have a separate Scarlett Nexus for 1 mic that I don't really use. Maybe it'll come with to like E3 or something, but I don't really use it anymore. Technically, there is a way to set it up where that could be a 3rd mic, but you got to trick your computer into seeing it into something else. And really, at that point, if I'm ever gonna have a permanent 3rd guest in person, which I don't know if that'll ever happen unless one of us gets a friend locally that actually knows things about video games and wants to talk about it. especially Nintendo.
Right.
And if that does happen and we can set that up, cool.
Yeah.
Then I would upgrade this audio interface to a Scarlett 4x2. So then there'd be 4 mic ports. But that's like a $500 thing.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to worry about that because I don't have any friends. This is it. This is my friend.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hello.
How you doing? Sean Connington said, thanks for answering my question, man. I think they could do another Odyssey with the same game engine. I agree. Also, the Bowser's Fury stuff makes me very curious. Like, if they're making a game in that direction instead.
Maybe.
And would that be called a thing? Hey, welcome! Loki Ravenstorm, latest member of the board of directors of Nintendo Prime. Thank you so much for becoming a leader, I think. A leader. What were you going to say?
I still think it would be awesome to have like the Donkey Kong game in the Odyssey type gameplay. I still think that's the direction they should go.
Miles Dolding, the audio's been great. Even your tie is spiffy.
Ooh,
I know. I am a little dressed up today.
Spiffy.
I wanna. Well, the thing is, I don't own a suit. I ideally would like to wear a suit on the show every week. I was going back and watching some of our E3 stuff.
Yeah.
And I just realized, like, okay, it's the same set we were on, but it just looked so much more professional because we were wearing a suit. It looked like we were taking it serious.
Yeah.
And I think I understand now why Jeff Keighley's always wearing suits for all his things.
Yeah.
And even if it's like not always a suit with a tie, but like it could be a suit with a gamer or Nintendo Prime shirt underneath or something like. But that suit jacket just makes it look like you care. And I like that. I just don't own one. The only reason I have one for E3, guys, I didn't rent it for E3. My sister happened to be getting married like the week after it. Yeah. So like the suit arrived like the day of.
Yes, it did.
And then a second one arrived the next day because that one was too small. And the bottom line is, I only had the suit jacket. And by the way, I knew I was going to have it ahead of time. So I already planned for E3 to use it. But it was like one of those, it just kind of was a happy timing to work out. And I would go back and watch it and I realized, damn, I actually think I need to do something about that. Which, by the way, suit jackets don't have to be stupidly expensive.
Yeah.
So I should just go and buy one. Well, I want to get properly fitted for one. The problem is I'm also losing weight right now. Yeah. So it's like, do I get fitted for one now or do I wait?
Right. I mean, we could always
I could just go buy like a cheap ass one from like.
Just say we could go to Savers.
Yeah, go to Savers. Just get like a cheap one that maybe isn't perfect right now, but that's fine. Wait till I hit the weight that I'm going to stay at, and then maybe get a tailored one that's a few $100 or something.
Right.
Because I just want a suit, man. And I know you already have one, so it's
technically. But
it'd be great.
Yeah,
I don't know if Eric wants to bust it out every week, but
I mean, if we go to Savers and get a $10 suit jacket,
that you don't have to get out your really nice one all the time. Yeah. Like save the nice ones for like the special.
Well, that's when I go to
like the Game Awards.
Yeah.
We'll have a betting special probably.
Yeah.
Bring that back, and that like, hey, they're all suited up. We're gonna be all suited up, baby.
Suit up.
At least I'm gonna be.
Yeah.
I can never force him to do anything. He chooses what he wants. I want you like the only three. I told you didn't have to, but I'm going to.
Why?
And if you want to compete with the best dressed,
why wouldn't I? I mean, it's
the only thing I'm missing right now are my sunglasses. I always forget. Every show and every video I make, I want to have like sunglasses on at some point because I just like the look of sunglasses. I don't know why, but they're always in the car and Yulia's always gone, so I never have them here. Yeah. And I'm like, I got my glasses because I have to order new contacts. Why don't I have my sunglasses? I always reach for like, where are they? Let's see here. We have Paul Gale Network said, realistic or unrealistic? What game do you want to see the most at potentially next week's Nintendo Direct? Which you choose, realistic or unrealistic? Which one do you want to go?
I mean,
I'll go the opposite way.
Unrealistic. Metroid Prime 4. I don't think we're going to see anything on it.
Metroid Prime 4.
I don't think we're going to see anything on it, but it'd be awesome if we did.
Metroid Prime 4, nice. Realistic. I think Splatoon 3 is shown and going to be announced for March. Personal opinion, of course. But we have seen it. It's already been announced. It's supposed to be next year. It could be March's game next year, and I think that we would see it here. I think that's kind of realistic. I mean, you can go super realistic. Everything is coming out the rest of the year. But I mean...
You're right. Yeah.
I'm trying to like show a little spice in it. I think expecting to see Splatoon 3 and have it announced for March is pretty realistic.
Yeah.
Could be wrong on that.
Yeah.
I'd love for it to be Breath of the Wild instead of March.
I was going to say...
But I mean, that's my personal design. I don't actually think that's realistic.
I still think it's going to be unrealistic that we see even more of Breath of the Wild 2.
I don't think we're seeing more of Breath of the Wild 2 the rest of the year, personally.
Yeah.
Could be wrong on that front. I have no idea.
Yeah.
David Agile81 said World War Z and Dying Light at the September Direct for certain. That I don't know because they've already been announced. World War Z leaked and then they announced it. Dying Light leaked and then they announced it. So like, they could appear, but I'm not so sure that it's going to be. I just don't think it's a for sure thing kind of thing. It's more of a because it's already been announced, they might not be brought up. But you never know. And those are third-party games, and some bigger ones, even though they're a little older.
Yeah, like I said,
Sizzle Reel maybe mentioned, could be. All right, get to the other questions here. Sorry, I was way up there, so I'm trying to answer everyone's questions. Paul Gill Network. Oh wait, no, you answered that one. Sorry, I was scrolling back, Paul. I didn't realize you asked that again. Would have saved me a little time on scrolling back. John Dex asked, did Samus Hunter or other leakers say about when we're going to get the next Pokemon information? Nobody has said anything, as far as I'm currently aware. And you guys know my ears are on the ground with all of the supposed leakers out there. And I'm not seeing anything being talked about when we're getting new Pokemon information. I assume it has to be relatively soon. Pokemon Shiny Brilliant Diamond and Shiny Pearl are November. So I would think October at the latest, if they don't talk about it this month. And I think from that point forward, they'll start advertising that, and Legends Arceus pretty hardcore. But we'll have to wait and see. Or is it Arceus? I don't know. You guys can tell me how wrong I am and how dumb I am and whatever.
Well, I mean, I do that on a daily basis, but...
I'm sure. Paul Gale Network chimes in and says, my semi-realistic is Bayonetta 3. That would be interesting. It'll been 3 years and 9 months. I love how he's got it right down to the month. See, I think Bayonetta 3 is going to be at the Game Awards. That's what I'm banking on. I've been banking on that every year since it was announced. One of these years I'm going to be right, I think.
Right.
Maybe. But yeah. Dead Man Walking 89 says, question. Sorta. I don't know what a sorta question is. Yep, I'm guessing we're going to get Metroid Prime Trilogy HD same day launch as the Metroid Prime 4 trailer. At E3 next year. Thoughts on that?
Metroid Prime 4 next year?
So you say E3? Metroid Prime 4 trailer will be at E3. And then the trilogy will launch, you say the same day?
Yeah.
Same day.
Yeah. I've maintained that I thought next E3 is Prime 4, period, for a while now.
Until you just said Prime. Well, you're going unrealistic.
I said unrealistic.
Yeah. But you think it's next year. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we'll see. I don't even know if it's next year. I want to believe it's next year. But also, we don't know that it's next year. So it's like, I don't know. Because like a lot of the development also happened during the pandemic now. So just so many unknowns. I just hope it comes out this generation.
Right.
The more and more years we go in, the more and more I'm like, just make it a launch game for the next platform at this point.
Just make it something. Just make it. Just make it.
Just make it. Just let us know it's real.
Right.
Even if it doesn't come out on Switch or isn't Switch exclusive anymore. Maybe it's a cross-gen game. Michael Orlando says, is anyone else super excited for Monkey Ball? I grew up with it, and from what I hear, the new one has a lot of remastered content. Yeah, so it did look cool. So Super Monkey Ball, Banana Remastered or whatever it is. I can't remember.
Banana Hammock? No.
I'm totally messing up butchering the name.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of weird news about this game. So like, in the ball, it's a monkey, right?
Yeah.
Well, you can also be Sonic. You can also be Tails. Right. You can also be Sega Genesis. You can also be a Dreamcast.
Wait, what?
Yeah. You can also be a Game Gear.
Okay.
And they just keep announcing things that you can play as. By the way, it's the easiest thing for them to do. None of the physics change. It's just changing the character that's inside the ball.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So, like, it's not like it suddenly makes the game oodles better.
No, it's literally a different skin on a box.
Yeah, it's just fun. It'd be different if they all had, like, slightly different weights and stuff. That would be kind of cool.
Yeah.
But that's probably asking a little bit too much. But, yeah, I mean, it's looking good. Banana Blitz? Maybe it's Banana Blitz.
Yeah.
It's looking solid. I mean, I'm always going to have concerns since it's Sega, and we just saw what happened with Sonic Colors Ultimate. You hear about that?
No. What? Oh, boy.
So Sonic Colors, that was like a Wii game, right?
Yeah.
It also came out on 3DS, but it was originally a Wii game.
Was it trash?
It was really good back in the day.
Okay.
The new one
looks trashy.
It doesn't... Glitches and bugs galore on all versions, by the way. Worse on Switch.
Nice.
All versions. Game-breaking, fall-through levels. Nice. Things like on a 2D side-scrolling level, like if you fall and Tails saves you, he drops you in from a 3D perspective, and it just messes everything up.
What?
There's seizure-inducing moments that can be triggered.
Fantastic.
Now, look, they to Sega's credit, one, Sega didn't make the game. It was a different company, Blind Squirrel Games. I did that joke with the Master video. I talked about it. If I'm like,
but they did not find their nut. But they did not find their nut.
We just got to buy a bunch of masks.
Yeah, dude.
Like, right? How did I know that squirrel mask was going to be useful in a video?
That squirrel mask is freaking awesome.
So we're going to have to just buy it. And then what's like $5 or something?
Yeah,
It was nothing. Let's just buy a bunch of masks. But like, it's just, look, to Sega's credit, they said, we will take all your feedback and fix the game. And I'm sure they will eventually. But like, it's almost like Sega didn't check on this game before they just rushed it out the door.
Yeah.
So do I really trust them with Super Monkey Ball? That's like, do I trust you guys after what just happened? Do I really say I should be excited for another Sega game? By the way, not every Sega game is bad.
Yeah.
But like, do I really trust you? I don't know.
I don't know.
Can Baldo? Yeah, Baldo's also had a problem too. Dang Baldo. Baldo is a game a lot of people are looking forward to. It's a Zelda-like indie game. And it's just got a bunch of game-breaking bugs on the Switch version, and nobody knows why. Something's happening where these companies are just not paying attention to the Switch version enough. Yeah. Which is weird when a game like Baldo might have sold best. Even Sonic Colors Ultimate, originally wasn't on Nintendo platforms, would have sold best on Switch. Mm-hmm. It's like, God, can we get some attention paid to this stuff? No. Like,
no.
I don't know. Miles Lewis says, why do people get hyped over Sonic games? Like, seriously, how many Sonic games except Mania are actually worth playing? Obviously, there's a lot of personal preference. I think Sonic Mania is good. I honestly got bored with it after a little while. I think I'm just bored with classic Sonic style. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean Mania is bad. It's just, I've been there, done that. I'm kind of good. My favorite Sonic game of like the last 20 years is actually Sonic The Lost World on Wii U. Love that game. It's like the Mario Odyssey of Sonic games. There are some bad levels, but the levels that are really good are really freaking good. So like, why do people get excited? Because there are some people that like Colors. There's some people that like The Lost World. There's some people that like this, like that. They haven't really been able to make a game that's universally liked by everyone. But a lot of the different Sonic games have their own individual fan bases. So that's why people are like, okay, what's this Sonic, supposedly Rangers, I think is what we think it's going to be called anyways. What's it going to be? So people get hyped because they just hope.
Yeah.
It's like hope. It's like, okay, something good. By the way, there's legitimately hardcore Sonic fans. We have a guy, Sonic Man the Best, who's around all the time. Yeah. Legitimately hardcore Sonic fan, loves everything Sonic. So, who am I to knock anybody who's looking forward to it? Mm-hmm. I'm cautiously optimistic.
Right.
But obviously, the Sonic Colors Ultimate game has given me a lot of pause into, did they actually put time into the Switch version?
Yeah. There's that.
So Doggy says Sonic. Yeah, Sonic Mania was up, but Sonic Mania was so it was universally praised, but it was a different. It was made by fans, and then they just hired the fans and made the game official.
Nice.
So like, it's a very unique situation. It's like they didn't get it right, fans got it right, and then Sega's like, yeah, okay, we'll hire you.
Walls.
After Sonic 06, I lost all. See, I think that's unfair to lose all hope after Sonic 06. Because it was like the first real attempt to make Sonic a 3D game. Mm-hmm. Like, a lot of games failed that make it. Like, Mega Man failed at it. Like, a lot of games failed at that 3D transition. So I don't think it's fair to say that, Let's see here. Any other questions, guys? I think we're all caught up. I think that might be a show then. If there's no more questions. I think that might be it.
Nice.
So thank you guys for tuning in. You guys are amazing as always. You can find our podcast on all of your favorite audio places: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, etc. We're pretty much everywhere. So you can find the audio version there if you don't have time to stick around for the video version or want to save some bandwidth while you're working out. I appreciate you guys coming by. Obviously, I always enjoy actual feedback, whether it's reviews on things like Apple Podcasts, which I appreciate because it helps spread it around. Or if it's just in the comment section on these videos after the fact. I enjoy feedback, not just on the audio quality, but on my job as a host, on, did I bring Eric enough in? Do I need more guests? Because we haven't had guests in a little bit. On the look of everything, is the lighting good? I don't have the studio light on right now, but did it look fine without it?
Oh yeah, I never even noticed that.
Oh, I noticed it because there was a few times that the camera was catching me and it was making me look really pasty, which doesn't happen with the light on.
Nice. Yeah.
But that's the inconsistency because this light's really white and that light's really warm, so it kind of balances out. Anyways.
Right. Yeah.
But So I'm always looking for feedback on everything. And obviously, did we have good topics? Did you enjoy the show? Obviously, we usually don't have Sony topics ever.
Right.
But it just happened to be they had a big show today, and I wanted to talk about it. Plus, apparently, I stirred the pot by saying they did really good.
Stirred the shit.
Apparently, I'm not allowed to praise anything but Nintendo.
Stirred the shit.
It's really funny, like, as a Nintendo guy, like, if I don't criticize Nintendo, I get called a defender, fanboy, or whatever. Then I try to criticize Nintendo, which, by the way, I didn't even criticize Nintendo today. There was no critique of Nintendo.
Right.
Nothing negative said about it. Just because I said Sony show is better than, destroyed anything Nintendo's done, wasn't me saying that Nintendo does a shit job. But that's what people interpreted it as. Oh, for sure. Because they interpret it whatever way they want to make themselves feel angry or ragey or whatever they were feeling. I have no idea. Right. It is what it is, But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. You can catch me on Twitter at NintyPrime if you want to get up on that. I think right now I'm in a mass, like people leaving me on Twitter because they're all mad at me.
Whoops.
You know how much I care. Twitter could close tomorrow. I really don't care. Twitter drives exactly, in case you guys weren't aware, 6 viewers per video to my YouTube channel. I have 14,000 people that follow me on Twitter. Only 6 people click my video links when I put them on Twitter. So Twitter is pretty much irrelevant to how many people watch my content. Kind of self-contained here. Facebook will send a few, but Twitter doesn't send anything. I honestly, Twitter's almost just kind of a waste of time. But I like being able to communicate with you guys. That's fun. But a lot of you guys that are on Twitter don't actually watch my videos, so it is what it is. Yeah. Maybe that's why you don't know how I actually feel about certain things. It's funny because I was checking out the chat while I was talking about the Sony stuff. There was not a lot of bickering or a lot of bitching or a lot of, because, and that's what I told people on Twitter, it's like, when I talk about this stuff on live stream, people are just a lot more respectful. And so, I'm sorry when I say the same thing on Twitter. I, maybe expect my fan base to maybe be like they are on live streams. But then I have to remember, these people that follow me on Twitter don't even watch my content. So they're not really fans. Yeah. I think they just joined for giveaways or something. I don't think they actually like me. Whereas a lot of you guys might have been here for giveaways, but you're only here on our live streams in the chat because I presume you actually enjoy it. What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
I have no idea. Are you wasting your day? Wasting your time? Okay. Well, we can't approve. Mods, don't approve that comment. Can't drop the C word. It's a little much. Praising and criticizing Nintendo, you can't win anyway. Yeah, you just can't win. No. It is what it is. I try to keep my content mostly positive, but I'm not afraid to critique when I need to. I didn't even critique Nintendo today. I'm good. Right. So, thank you guys for tuning in. Yeah. Hopefully we got a Nintendo Direct before our next podcast.
That'd be awesome.
Sweet. Maybe even the same day. It'd be awesome.
Yeah.
But we don't know.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people ask me every day, so you get any information on when the Directs are? Remember when I kept saying, September 13th or earlier? That was just me guessing based on the prior 4 September Directs. I don't actually know anything. Right. You know how many connections I have directly to Nintendo? 0. Now, some third parties, I have a few people, but Nintendo ain't want anybody talking to me. So, they don't like me. Maybe it's because I drink. Maybe they don't like people who drink.
Yeah, it's possible.
But I know they drink. They just don't do it on camera. Maybe that's why.
Yeah, possible.
Plus, I say fuck a lot.
Ah, fuck.
God fucking damn it. All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is the Nintendo Right Hobbycast, episode 18. We'll catch you hopefully a day sooner next week.
It should be.